other animals also developing camouflage over time. They are developing adaptations.
Why are we people so curious, to go to moon, to go to other planet?
There is a idea of the propagation of the species. Subconsciously, even our human DNA is changing slowly to increase our chances of surviving. Venus is a very thick atmosphere filled with greenhouse gases, and we were living in a hunter-gatherer society to start with, and then we slowly transformed to an agrarian society. Operations and project management, we have something called a Pareto principle. Civilizations were classified by one of the Russian sci-fi writers. We need to colonize other planets. All the scientists and the astronomers and the technology companies are motivated. They started building reusable rockets. Space shuttle is too expensive and not safe as well. And we are seeing like one side of the moon. So is the moon flat? Mass extinction has not happened for 65 million years. That's a very large amount of time. Fear of getting extinct will make us unite again. Rocks on the banks of the river carved in the patterns of the constellations. Rocks basically are estimated to be 3.5 billion years old. NASA did much more groundbreaking work. James Webb Space Telescope, which is 5 times bigger than Hubble. All the satellites on Earth work. That's how even our moon works. And that's how even all the planets go around the sun.
Good to see you back on another fresh episode of 3XP Podcast. This is me, Kunal Ras, CEO founder of KRF Media. And on this episode, we continue our exploration to Mars, to space, and discussing a lot about astronomy. Really a fun episode, man. And man and woman, because people might be, But okay, and before you dive in the episode, please subscribe because we bring such episodes every week. And when I say subscribe, you see the subscribe button glowing. That's a new YouTube feature for you. And I see you in the episode. Enjoy. Yeah, that you mentioned about moon. I had one question before.
Yeah.
I just remembered now.
Yeah.
The moon backside we were talking, it has a सामने से तो दाग दिखता है, and back there is a lot of hittings that it takes. So that if you could explain in short, then we'll.
Yeah, so we, for ages, our ancestors realized that we are seeing like one side of the moon. So is the moon flat? Like, is the moon flat and it's like rising and facing the earth? And we see that, in Goa, in Konkani, we call it the saslo. Chandrachir ek saslo asa. So we say in Hindi also, Chand pe ek rabbit hai. It's like a rabbit face on the moon. So we always see that face only. So for many years, in fact, for many generations, since the time ancestors have studied the moon, it was not realized like why it is so. Only when the astronomers like Galileo, they studied the moon and they were slowly observing it, they thought of an idea that what if the moon is a sphere itself, it has other side also, but it's not showing the other side to us. And then with the mathematical calculations, they came to know that it's because the moon's rotation speed is the exact same as the moon's revolution speed. So the moon completes one orbit around the earth in about 28 days. Also, moon completes one rotation on its own axis in 28 days. So that great coincidence of nature, what we call as tidal locking, causes the moon to only face one side of it to the earth, and the other side always remains behind us, faced away from us. So in 1959, NASA sent, of course 1959 was the year the first satellite was sent into space. That was Sputnik 1 by Russia, USSR at that time. In 1967, NASA managed to send something called the LRO, Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, to the moon. First time a spacecraft went to the moon. So 1967 Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter was sent to study the surface of the moon to decide the position where the astronauts would land. But that probe showed us the backside of the moon. Till then, we never had seen the backside of the moon. The first picture clicked in 1967 by LRO. That showed us that the backside is not actually the dark side of the moon. It's just the backside of the moon. And it's filled with craters because that's the side of the moon always facing away from the earth. And that's the side where the asteroids hit the most. So it was the side which was always protecting the earth. That image of the moon which the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter clicked, with the backside filled with those craters, that reminds me of an image from the Mahabharata. of Bhishma Pitama. So Bhishma Pitama is the grand old guy in Mahabharata who's a great warrior. But what happens in the war is Bhishma Pitama sadly passes away with a back full of arrows. He had fought the battle and he was safeguarded the Kauravas, and he was going, and he gets fully hit with arrows from the back. So it's even difficult to lay him down. That was his condition, as explained in the Mahabharata. So that is the condition of the backside of the moon. Similar. So the back is full of arrows, right? So the moon's back is full of craters because it has taken the impact of the asteroids, protecting the Earth from those hits. If the moon was not there, no, I'll tell you, it would not be possible to have life on Earth.
Why so?
Because for
We would have got
hit by
hit by
asteroids
way
continuously, way
Hmm.
more. So, it is said that a continuity of a safe survival space leads to evolution in a better way. So, Earth has been safe continuously for a long time. Every time a mass extinction event like an asteroid hit happens, it resets the evolution cycle again. The evolution and the development of the DNA starts from scratch again every time a mass extinction event happens. So it has not happened since the last 65 million years. We've had internal processes on the Earth like ice ages, which have happened on Earth, but a major event like asteroid hitting the Earth causing mass extinction has not happened for 65 million years. That's a very large amount of time for the human DNA to develop and for other species to develop to an extent that it is right now. But statistically, it is said that a mass extinction event like a huge asteroid hitting the Earth can happen in our solar system every 100 million years. So we are due. 65 million years, it's already happened once. So we are due another mass extinction event. It can happen anytime. So that's why this things like expanding our species to other planets is important at this stage that we are in. And it is possible to do it because combined, if you see the technology that humans have today on Earth, we have created these borders and we have created different countries. That's all a artificial and a human thing that we have done. Like consciously, we have created those borders and created differences between us and other races and other tribes and other countries, other languages, other religions. But as a species, we are still human species. It's a deeper thought. I don't know if most people understood this. We would not have so much of discrimination happening on Earth, and the distinction that we are keeping. Countries are keeping technology away from other countries. What is the gain in that? Your own species is, heading to a mass extinction event somewhere in the future, and at this point of time, we require the Earth to be united.
You
Human
can't
species should be
isolate and
united.
protect one area.
Yeah, and also it's not helping them also. So, like I said, ISRO has today many technologies which NASA does not have. NASA has many technologies which ISRO doesn't have. So combined, actually, we can reach space. Combined as a human species on Earth, everyone together has the necessary skills to go beyond our Earth and colonize another planet and another part of our universe or another part of our solar system. But separate, we are not capable. So I think space research and space exploration will be one of the purposes, one of the goals which will unite humanity. It's a sad thing to say that because of space we will unite. It should have been united first only. We as a human species should not have had a distinction between each other and discrimination from the start. But space research will and the fear of getting extinct will make us unite again.
Yeah, when there are problems, people run together.
Correct. Apes together strong. We are apes only.
Cool.
Yeah.
So coming back from space to Goa, right? Is there any connection of Goa in space and some astronomical research or something?
So in the last
Any
few
linkage?
years,
Yeah.
so in the last few years, definitely in modern times, where everything is connected. People are able to communicate throughout the world, and we have access to the internet and to knowledge from across the world. Definitely, there are a lot of connections. But I would like to take you back to a time when people were isolated from each other. And every place where something knowledge was discovered, it was a discovery. You may have discovered, someone may have discovered the planets 10,000 years ago in some remote place in Africa. But when the same things are discovered in Goa, maybe just 5,000 years ago, it's still a discovery. So, going back to that time, I take you back to one of the oldest monuments or oldest places in Goa, which is prehistoric, but it has a connection to the sky. And that's the place called Pansaimad on the banks of the Kushavati river in Netravali. So near Rivana it is, Pansaimad, and there on the banks of the river you have something called petroglyphs. Petroglyphs are basically carvings on rock, and at Pansaimad you find the rocks on the banks of the river carved in the patterns of the constellations. You find a hunter, which is representing probably Orion the hunter. You find a bull carved on the rock, which is Taurus the bull.
But
Exactly.
how old is this? Like the carvings and all?
So exact age cannot be estimated because of basically you can't do radiocarbon dating of rocks. You can do radiocarbon dating of things which are covered in mud. You can come to know how old that is, which has organic matter. But roughly we come to know that it's from a time when the script was not existing. If the script was existing, they would have written something. There's no written script. It's just petroglyphs which are prehistoric in nature with just the figures drawn. So roughly we can estimate it to about 10,000 years old. It could be older, but not newer than 10,000 years old. So that's in Pansai Mud where they have carved these things in the rocks. Another thing which is not connected to humans but is there in Goa as a natural thing is that in Anmod Ghat you have this rocks. There's a place in Anmod Ghat where the Trogono rocks are there. These Trogono rocks basically are estimated to be 3.5 billion years old. So these are the rocks which were possibly created when the Earth was formed. When our solar system was forming, Sun was formed about 4.5 billion years ago, and slowly the protoplanetary disk was revolving around the Sun, which formed finally the planets in the form of planets which are going around the Sun. So at that time, this matter was created, and Earth was quite volcanically active, geologically active for the many years after the creation of the Earth. So that's when these rocks got created. This is one of that rock which is there at Anmod Ghat. It is 3.5 billion, estimated to be 3.5 billion years old. It's called Trogonomites.
And there is this place which is like people visit a lot, Tamdi Sulla, right?
Yeah,
The rocks are pretty
it's
old,
quite
right?
old rock. But it's made of a rock which is not found in Goa. Tamrisula temple is made with a rock called the black schist. That's from Karnataka, but it was built by the Kadamba kings, so it's understandable that they got the rocks from Karnataka and built the temple in the middle of the forest. But
it has still hold,
yeah, so that way a lot of older things are there. Even in India, we find a lot of old places which are 700 years. Tamrisula is only 700 years old, a 13th century temple.
Yeah.
But you have much more older places in India.
Yeah,
You
because before the podcast we were talking about a smart city draining, falling down, which was built 6 months or 1 year before.
No, it was built 2 days back.
2 days back. Then
So it was built probably in the last week. And it just collapsed yesterday. So that was a funny thing.
Yeah.
But that is how man-made things are. When we use nature things like rocks and all, and the technology is more towards making it long-lasting than to make it cheaper, then it will last. If you are having the intention to make things cheaper, then it's not going to last. Basically, it's not cheaper. It is a big figure in the bill, but half the money is in the pocket. So no, I don't know about it, but yeah, definitely the intention in the olden days was not to make things cheaper. It was to make things long lasting. Now the intention is actually to make things which will break fast so that it can be replaced again, and more revenue can be generated out of that. But coming to the Goan connection to the skies and to our universe, ever since the modern era has come into place, it has been immense. Goa's contribution to space sciences has been immense. Earliest mention I would like to give is of a Goan singer. One would not imagine a Goan singer connected to the space sciences, but in Goa, we had Surashri Kesarbai Kelkar from the village of Kurdi in Sange. She was a world-renowned classical singer, Kesarbai Kelkar, and she had created a classical music song called Jaat Kahan Ho. So that music got the privilege of being on the golden record in Sounds of the Earth, which was sent out in space. So 1967, NASA launched two missions which went in opposite directions. I would say that back when NASA was still young, its purpose was much more philosophical and human related, and today it's much more commercial. Back in the era when NASA just was starting out, and you had big vision like reaching on the moon. Just no, there was no purpose. Like, why you want to reach on the moon? The purpose itself was reach on the moon. The purpose was itself reach in space. It did not have a commercial involvement. There was no return of investment and all being thought of. So NASA did much more groundbreaking work. They sent 1959, 1960. John F. Kennedy in his speech said that by this end of the decade we want to reach the moon, and they did in 1969. 1967 they still carried out their other work, which was about human civilization, which was to send Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 in different directions of our solar system as a messenger of the Earth. So they sent Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 with golden records, discs, identical discs placed in both the spacecraft in different directions, so that if any alien civilization finds it, they will be able to come to know of the Earth and the humans living on Earth. So in that golden record, they basically marked the location of the Earth with respect to something called Cepheid variable stars around our Earth, wherever the stars are there. Based on that, they drew lines and zeroed down on the position of the Earth. So aliens would come to know where Earth is. And it's all basically the address of the Earth that they placed on the golden record in the engraving. And they placed the human images. And the record itself was playable on a record player, in which they put all the sounds of the Earth, all the languages, all the human sounds, animal sounds, and then they put 10 albums. They selected 10 songs from the whole of Earth, which represented different cultures. So one of those albums, the only one from India, was of Surashri Kesarbai Kelkar from Goa.
Nice.
And one mention, of course, there have been many contributions. There have been many astronomers from India. There have been many astronomers from Goa in particular who have represented their work on the stage of India as well as the world stage. And I'd like to make is of Dr. Vitthal Tilvi, who's from the village of Betki of Marseille. And he went on to discover the universe's furthest galaxy. In 2013, he was working at the University of Arizona as an astronomy researcher, and he discovered the universe's furthest galaxy at a distance of 13.6 billion light years. The universe itself is 13.8 billion years old, and he discovered a galaxy 13.6 billion light years away. So it's a very early universe galaxy that he discovered. He was able to image it as well. And in 2016, he discovered a black hole in that galaxy.
How did he image it?
So they used basically data from Hubble Space Telescope. He used the Hubble Space Telescope, and he requested the grant and the time on the Space Telescope, and he focused it in that region where he was finding something called blueberry galaxies.
I've heard of this Hubble telescope, but I
Huh.
haven't seen it yet.
It's in space. We'll
Ah.
never get to see it.
Hmm.
So it's going to be decommissioned soon.
Hmm.
It's operational only for the last few months, I'll say now,
Hmm.
because it has been already replaced by another telescope called the James Webb Space Telescope, which is 5 times bigger than Hubble.
Hmm.
But Hubble still is a very good telescope, so
So how
it's
does it work
operational.
from there? Like,
So
what is the?
yeah, so on Earth we have a constraint, and that is we can only work when it's dark.
Hmm.
And even in the darkness, we can only work when the sky is open. If there are clouds on Earth, we cannot work.
Hmm.
If the rain is there, we cannot work. If it's daytime, we cannot work. We cannot use the telescopes on Earth.
Hmm.
Space offers you 24/7, 365 days usage of telescope. Moment you place a telescope in space, as long as it's pointed away from the sun, you don't point the telescope directly on the sun. As long as looking at the space, right?
Hmm.
There's no brightness.
Hmm.
It's completely dark. The Earth in the daytime becomes bright if the sun rises because of the atmosphere.
Yeah, so as I was saying that how does the telescope work in space? Like, won't it be like spinning around or floating around?
Yeah, so that was one of the earliest use of gravity that we made. Even when Yuri Gagarin was sent out in space, he just did not disappear,
Hmm.
because what we learned from rotational mechanics is that any object that is going in a circular path, rotation, experiences a centrifugal force in the outward direction.
Okay.
That is given by a formula mv square by r. But it means basically is that anything that going on a curve, right, has a
Hmm.
tendency to go outwards. In fact, that was the earliest things even understood by Johannes Kepler, who discovered the laws of planetary motion. How do planets exactly move? Why
Hmm.
they move in a circle? All that was understood, keeping in mind this rotation of a body. So rotation, or what we call rotational mechanics, but I'm referring to basically revolution, going in a circle. It creates a force in the outward direction. So if we can manage this outward direction force by an inward force, we basically cancel out the two forces and the body becomes stable in that position.
Hmm.
So that's how all the satellites on Earth work. That's how even our moon works. And that's how even all the planets go around the sun. When the planets are spinning around the sun in a revolution, they have an outward force, which is centrifugal force. And the same equal amount of force is given in the inward direction by our sun.
Hmm.
So centrifugal force, which is outward, and centripetal force, which is actually the force of gravity, they both balance each other and the body stays stable in that position. And that velocity takes it round and round in a circle. So same with Hubble. The Hubble has been placed in such a way and it is made to go in such a speed that the outward force of Hubble,
Hmm.
that is centrifugal force it experiences to go away from the Earth, is matched by the gravitational force which brings it to the Earth. So neither does it fall onto the Earth or nor it goes away. So it remains stable in that orbit, and the forward velocity keeps it going around in circle.
So you have to send that with a specific speed and a specific mass. Like, not
No,
random object won't just
yeah,
go out.
yeah. So if you have decided that at what height you want to keep it from the Earth,
Hmm.
then even the velocity has to be kept at that level,
Hmm.
so that its outward force becomes equal to the inward force. So moment it is made to bring, if you want to bring it closer to the Earth, you have to increase its velocity. So the closer the object is to the Earth, the faster it has to go.
Hmm.
If it goes faster when it's closer to the Earth, then the outward force will balance the inward force. And if you want to take it away from the Earth, then you have to slow it down. And it also works the other way. Like if you want the body to be faster, then it has to be closer to the Earth. If you want the body to be slower, then it has to be away from the Earth.
Hmm.
So that way it is regulated. So it keeps on changing. It's actually the distance from the Earth. It's not a fixed distance. Same with the Hubble Space Telescope. Same with the International Space Station, the ISS. The speed is not fixed and the altitude is not fixed. But the speed and the altitude are constantly changed so that it remains stable.
Hmm.
If it is brought closer to the Earth, it is fastened. If it is brought further away from the Earth, then it is slowed down.
Cool. So we'll come from all the space and the Hubble telescope back to this studio, and we'll have a rapid fire round. Okay,
Okay.
this or that, and then we'll get some really rapid answers, hopefully.
Okay.
Okay, so planet or stars, and why?
Stars.
Why?
Shoot for the stars, you'll land up among the planets.
NASA or ISRO?
Earth.
Black holes or wormholes?
Black holes.
Interstellar or gravity?
Interstellar.
The Big Bang or multiverse theory?
Big Bang.
SpaceX or Blue Origin?
Earth again.
Favorite constellation, and why?
One day I'd like to create my own constellation. But before that, it's Sagittarius.
Hmm.
Because Sagittarius is the center of our Milky Way galaxy.
Okay, cool. Most overrated space movie.
The one which came recently. I even forgot its name. I saw it. It was not so good. The one which had Leonardo DiCaprio.
Hmm.
Uh, in which something was going to fall on the Earth.
Favorite planet in a solar system.
Earth.
Earth. Best space themed book.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by
Hmm.
Douglas Adams.
People read books about space.
I am lucky to be from a time where
Hmm.
I didn't have my phone and the internet so popular. All my knowledge actually comes from books.
Hmm.
Only recently it's from the internet.
Most fascinating space fact.
That there could be intelligent civilizations around us,
Hmm.
but we'll not be able to communicate with them. In space, there's no dearth or the probability of having life is pretty high. The probability of contacting them is low
Hmm.
because of the distances involved and the technological differences that we may have with other civilizations, which will always keep us away from them.
Cool. So do we age slower in space?
So in space, if you are away from heavy bodies,
Hmm.
the time slows down. It is said that uh, time is relative. Einstein's general theory of relativity says that time fastens up next to heavier bodies and slows down away from heavier bodies. That's why if you are next to a black hole, the time goes very fast.
Hmm.
If you're away from a black hole, the time slows down. Same with space. As you are on Earth next to a gravitationally strong body, the time is faster than if you are in space away from a gravitationally heavy body. So,
Hmm.
yes, you age slower in space.
Cool. And so before ending the podcast, like anyone thinking of going in the space thing, what
Yeah.
should they follow or what they can refer to in
Actually,
astronomy or space?
now that the point of research
Hmm.
has reached to such an extent that we require all fields in space. There was a time when we were limited to the Earth and we were limited to uh, getting data from the skies and getting data from the night sky, for which we required astronomy and physics as the main sources of main ways in which we can study space. But today we have reached such an extent that every field is required in space, from biologist to chemist. It could be a biology graduate, a chemistry graduate, a a mechanical engineer, a computer engineer, electronics engineer. Just like, say, every field would require a accountant.
Hmm.
Every field. A
Yeah,
chartered
yeah.
accountant will have restaurants as his clients, hotels as his client, industries as his client, right? Every field requires that.
Hmm.
Same way, space has reached a certain extent now that it requires every field. So every field can contribute to space in some way. It's just the area where you want to contribute your skills to
Hmm.
is up to you to decide. So there is no longer a restriction of skills and career choices that will take you to space. You can go to space and you can be in the space sciences research from every field possible. If you know Sunita Williams,
Hmm.
who's gone to space right now, She just reached space about 4 days back on the Boeing Starliner. She's actually from the biology field. And Kalpana Chawla, she was a pilot, an aeronautical engineer. So they were not connected to space research from the get-go, but their skills were of such high quality that they were used in space. So one advice is you excel in the field that you want to excel in. You'll reach space. You'll reach space sciences. Even you,
Yeah.
as a VFX artist, as a video editor, a production house, you could be so good in your skills that the frontier of human research, that is astronomy and the space sciences, will require services to make the videos. A lot of the content and video creators in US are working in space sciences, as you may heard of Everyday Astronaut or Scott Manley. These are some popular YouTubers who are in the space field, space domain.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that's pretty much with the podcast. I hope you enjoyed
Yeah,
listening.
absolutely.
And what is like the Cosmic Ventures next venture plan?
So we are
Heading to Ladakh and
So I am the co-founder of Cosmic Ventures, but I have another brand which I'm building. It's called Starry Adventures, in which we are trying to expand across India. We have started doing programs once a month in Pune region to cater to the astronomy lovers there. We have a similar concept. We take them on an overnight camping adventure in the wildlife sanctuary near to Pune. That is the Harishchandragarh Kalsubai Wildlife Sanctuary, and that has one of the darkest skies in that region. But apart from that, now that the monsoons are catering to most of India, we will be on again in Ladakh. We started Ladakh stargazing programs last year, and I was based in Ladakh for 4 months. This year I'll be going a bit early now. That business is already created over there and the setup is ready. I'll be going Ladakh now in a few days' time, and we'll be starting the stargazing activities over there. Apart from that, Starry Adventures will also take you on different adventures related to astronomy and the space sciences. And one of our star lineup is launch viewing. So we started this in 2019. I took a group of people from Goa to see the launch of Chandrayaan 2 in the month of July 2019. And we continued that with the launch of Chandrayaan 3 in 2023 and the launch of Aditya L1. So we had jam-packed 15 people groups going from Goa just to see the launch and witness the launch. But yeah, the goal is one day take my people to space. Of course, that's a very
space
big goal.
packages here.
Yeah, it's a big goal. It's a long journey, but at least in the next 25 years, sooner the better. I want to be able to take people to space. Okay, that we can edit also. It's a too big a goal. But yeah, in the next 2 years, the realistic goal is that in the next 2 years, have a group of people from India, from Goa, under my brand Starry Adventures, go to USA to see a Starship launch. The SpaceX Super Heavy booster and the Starship launch from the Star Factory, which is in Boca Chica in Texas. To see that launch, that is the goal in the next 2 years. That's a realistic goal, and I hope I can achieve it.
Cool. All the best.
Thank you.